And the first presentation following lunch will be from New York City. Louis Anneman and John Yo will present Compstat from New York.
Thank you and good afternoon. Compstat, what is it? It's revolutionizing the way the NYPD polices the city of New York. At its most basic, it's computerized crime statistical information coupled with a pin mapping ability also. It enables us in the PD to see crime trends as they happen on a more timely basis and to then implement crime fighting strategies throughout the city. But it's much more than that. It's a shot of adrenaline to the organization of the NYPD, right to the heart. It's energized this organization. We've refocused the entire department to its core mission: reducing crime, reducing the fear of crime, and reducing disorder. Compstat grew out of an effort to provide timely crime data. For the first time now in the NYPD's history, we have, and I mean we at headquarters and out in the field in each of those 76 police precincts, have weekly updates of crime statistics for the 7 major felonies in every precinct in the city. We use that data to direct what we call our crime strategy sessions, and they have since come to be known as Compstat themselves, where we bring in every precinct commander, every narcotic commander and detective commander concerned for that area of the city that's up for discussion on that particular day. We reach out to the district attorney's offices, to the Office of School Safety, probation, parole. We bring all the players together so that as we see crime trends and as our sophistication increased in discussing these things, we were actually able to broker solutions right there in this headquarters meeting room, which, by the way, resembles somewhat this particular hall. What do we get out of this? What's happening? Well, for the first time, we think we see in the NYPD a increasing public trust and a sense of confidence, not only in the police department, but we think there's a spillover effect to other city agencies as well. Without the safety and security provided out on the streets, we think a lot of the other programs and policies that are trying to wend their way through city government would not be effective. The visiting nurse service, for example. They have concerns about their safety in the street. Now they know there's somebody doing something. We've thrown open our doors at these meetings. We've invited community officials, elected officials, other practitioners from across the country and the world. Academic researchers have free access to these crime strategy meetings, this Compstat process. Measured by its effect on crime, I'd have to say Compstat is arguably the most effective innovation in NYPD history. Crime is down 37% since January of 1994. Homicides are down 48% in that same time frame. Crime is down in every category and in every precinct in the city. Measured by its effect on the NYPD, Compstat is also a success. We've given precinct commanders the tools now, the ability to see crime occurring right before their eyes. And we've brokered solutions, we've made resources available to them to attack that crime. We're not measuring arrests, we're measuring crime reduction, crime prevention. We've energized that community policing aspect of the NYPD by doing this. For too long, the NYPD didn't give to the field, didn't support its commanders, and they are our most important people. We've also enabled to break through those functional barriers between detectives, narcotics, and patrol. We bring them all in, they stand together, and they answer together. They rise or sink on their successes. And there's a carrot involved here, too. Promotions go out to people who are responsive to the community. People are doing well in the NYPD. Measured by its effect on neighborhoods, Compstat is again a success. The minority neighborhoods, those housing developments that for so long thought they were abandoned, are getting the resources that they need. They're getting the officers. They're getting the attention from the headquarters level right on down out to the field. The biggest drops in violent crimes are occurring in those very neighborhoods. People are feeling better. I mentioned this earlier about government because they can see the results. They're tangible. Those bodies are not falling like they were in 1993 or 1992. The significance, we think Compstat addresses the concern of the American public for safety. We know that we represent 3% of the national crime in New York City, as measured by the UCR, the FBI's UCR. We're responsible for 27% of the crime reduction in 1995 nationally. We're developing and stimulating police managers throughout the city to do a better job. Thank you.
First question from David, and next Jack.
Before you leave, I hope you'll tell us what that wonderful series of ribbons represents. But help us understand how this actually happens in practice. You pick up something on the computer, you see this is a housing area that's getting a lot of crime, and you want to focus on it. What happens next?
There's a 7 a.m. meeting on a Wednesday or a Friday, twice a week. Those precinct commanders, those housing commanders, narcotic and detective commanders are brought down, and they'll be asked, they'll be grilled as to the patterns, as to the nature of the patterns. What are the street conditions there? Is there a nexus between the drugs maybe in the neighborhood and the homicides, the shootings, the robberies? What type of robberies are we talking about? Chain snatches, commercial stick-ups? What time of the day? What day of the week? Where are your forces deployed? What are you doing with your cops, Captain? Are they working nights? Are they working weekends? What are you doing? Are you blending your plain clothes and your uniform? And are you reaching out to narcotic commanders or detective commanders? That's the process.
And then what do you do? Then you have the follow-up meetings the next Wednesday. You figure out whether the numbers are still going up or going down.
Exactly.
So you leave it up to them to figure out how to handle it. You're just trying to put pressure on them to deal with it.
Exactly. But everyone in the room is learning. They're learning the success stories as well as from the failures.
Right.
People that are sitting there, everyone in that geographical area of the city is represented. So they hear their neighbors, their colleagues, discuss their patterns, their crimes. There's a lot of cross-pollination also between bureaus and between precinct commanders. It's astounding to see it.
And can you cross-deploy forces from one area to another in that same meeting?
The borough commander does that within that local geographical area, and we can do it for the city.
Jack.
Chief, you cited a 37% increase in 2 years, a decrease in
please.
crime.
Be still, my heart.
There's also been a substantial decrease in crime in most big cities during the same period of time. How do you know that Compstat is the reason?
Well, no one citywide has produced the declines that we have over a sustained period of time. 1996, we're down 14% already year to date. 95, 94, 93. We've had 6 years now. This will be our 6th year of crime declines. Nobody's done that.
So you're saying the curve in New York is going down a lot faster than it is even elsewhere?
Exactly. Exactly. And some of the other cities, although they were down last year, were up the year prior, up in 93.
First, Luis, and then Tom, and then Margot, and then Dick.
Chief, what is the difference in department activity when the emphasis is on counting the reduction in crime as opposed to counting the number of arrests?
We're doing policing smarter now. Not necessarily tougher, not necessarily more aggressive, not confrontational, but we're a whole lot smarter about it. Where we see the dots, and when the dots start to accumulate, indicating patterns, we can move people to the right places. Sometimes the answers are in other agencies. Sometimes it might lie in the school safety. Maybe there's a school there, a high school. Maybe they don't have, maybe there are 2 schools that are competing. They don't have staggered dismissals. So it's an interesting process, and it's not always arrest. Arrests aren't always the answer. Sometimes it's a youth activity after school. And that also surfaces at these meetings.
Next question, Tom.
Chief, tell us how that applies to the reductions in the homicide rate.
Well, a lot of our homicides in the city over the last few years, certainly it's my belief, are driven by drugs, narcotic related. There's a nexus there, either directly or indirectly. And we see that. We plot also on these computer screens are narcotic complaints. People that call in complaining about narcotic conditions. Sometimes they're chronic conditions. Street corner addresses, building addresses. When you overlay the shooting incidents and the homicides and the robberies, suddenly you see in sections of the city large clusters. We go after those clusters from every angle. The patrol end, the detective end, and the narcotic end. Subsequently, the numbers went down.
Margot, next question, and then Dick.
I had an opportunity to spend 3 months in New York for twice, once in 1985 and once in 1995. And it was clear as a bell that something had dramatically changed in New York and on the streets. And I mean, I felt safer, and other people I talked to felt safer and more comfortable and so forth. You have been in that department since 1964. What is it that suddenly made the department capable of responding to admittedly this new technology? But it's not just the technology. What was the other part?
It's leadership. It's leadership on the political end. It's leadership at the police commissioner's position. And then it's leadership at my position right on down. We're focusing on our core business, the bottom line, crime reduction, not arrests, not overtime savings, crime reduction. And we're going to see to it that everyone stays focused on that.
Thank you. Last question, Dick.
Chief, you indicated that there have been significant reductions in every category. I just wonder, is there any difference in the reductions in terms of homicides? Because I know, in spite of the fact that many homicides, in fact, are drug-related, many of them are domestic. They're in situations where law enforcement almost has no effect at all. And I just wonder if you're finding that to be the case here.
We found we can do something also about those domestic situations as well. In almost every case, there had been some prior contact with the police agency in almost every case involving a domestic homicide. Our position is, now with a mandatory arrest policy, we're probably saving some lives there as well in domestic violence cases. We think, had the appropriate action been taken on the first occasion, perhaps somebody might have been saved along the way. We're seeing that now.
Thank you, Chief. Sergeant.